Welcome back to the shop. Had several of you over the last few months show interest in wanting to learn how to hand sharpen chains. So I'm going to show you that today. There's two major parts to a good hand sharpener. First part is tools. If you don't have the right tools, you're wasting your time. So I'm going to go over that with you first and give you some advice on that. And then the second thing is technique. Technique's something that you learn and then you improve with practice. So I'm going to show you that today. First, let me get you over here and show you these tools that we're going to be using today. And if you'll hang in there to the end of this video, I'll show you a picture of some of the jigs that we have here for sharpening chains and files. Our suggestion. First and foremost, if you're going to sharpen your chain, you need to have the right size file. I strongly suggest anytime you go to get something for your chainsaw, put your saw in the truck so you can take it with you so you can make sure you get the right file. Second, you need a good handle on that file. You can't control that file without a handle. They make handles. You can make your own handle out of a piece of branch with a good handle. Second thing you're going to need is a good flat file. Once again, with a good handle. Double milled bastard file is a really nice file. Then you're going to need a depth gauge tool. I'll show you how to work that. So let's get over here to the workbench and I'll show you a little bit of technique. Get your saw on something that you can work on. I use a vise. You can actually, I've got the whole saw in that vise. You could actually just use your tabletop or something like that, but the more comfortable you are, the better job you're going to do. Now you'll notice how these teeth are angled on this saw. And it's hard to see it in this video, but most of them teeth have a guide on them that'll show you what angle to stay with, because you want to keep that angle. So that's what you're after. The next thing you're after is when you run that file in there and you're staying with that angle, you want that file to be squared with that bar. In other words, if you took a framing square and put it on there, it'd be square. Let me show you what I'm talking about here. If you took a framing square and put it on the side of that bar, you lay that in there staying with your angle. See how that's up like that? That is wrong. That is right, and that's what you want. And you want to bring it across that tooth, staying with that angle, but make sure that that file is square to that bar when you're pushing it. When you go to file that chain, you want to hold one hand on the handle and the other hand on the end of it. You want to go in only one direction. Don't sit there and pull the file back and forth. So what you're looking to do is staying with that angle, square to the bar, right size file, lay that file into the tooth, hold the end of that file. Don't bear down, put equal pressure on both ends. One motion. About 2 to 3 good licks. Let me show you what that looks like from overhead. Once again, firm pressure, 90 degrees to your bar. Firm pressure on your file. One direction. Equal pressure, one direction. With a good file, about 2 to 3 licks should get you where you want to be. Now if you look at the face of that tooth, you can see that we've covered every part of that tooth. Now you'll work your way around the chain, staying with that all the way around the chain. Now once you're done, now what you have to do is measure your depth gauges. This is called a depth gauge tool. Now what this is used for is to measure your drags. A drag is the part that sticks up in front of your cutter tooth. As you sharpen that chain, this eventually gets to where it's lower than the drag so it can't catch, and that's why when you sharpen, you may notice that you start to see sawdust. No matter how much it's sharpened, you're not seeing chips. This drag needs to be took down. This tool tells you when you're right. This belly sits down over the top of this tooth. This drag should not stick up when you look across that tooth. That depth gauge should not stick above that. If it does, it needs to be took down. So what you're going to do is lay that belly over the tooth. And then you're going to look across it, and if it sticks up, you need to file that with a flat file. This one doesn't, but we're going to file it anyway just to show you what I'm talking about. And in general, check a couple teeth. If they need took down, they all need took down. And when you figure out how much needs to take down, take your flat file and don't hit the face of your tooth that you've done sharpened. Only hit the top of that drag. Take it about 1 to 2 swipes and then check your chain again. And what you're going to do is the same thing. Put equal pressure on that file. One motion. Now what I would suggest is take about 2 strokes at a time and then check your chain. If it still needs to go down and it's sticking up, take it 1 stroke after that. Count how many strokes you do. And that's pretty much what you need to do on every link, every drag. If it takes you 4 licks to get that drag right, then you need to hit every drag that's on there about 4 times. Now you want to be really careful and take it down in moderation, because if you take that down too far, it's biting so hard you can't hold on to the saw, it'll snatch out of your hand. So just take it 1 or 2 at a time and check it after every couple swipes with your file. And then you can always take more if you need to, but you can't add back. Now, I would strongly suggest to you, files, people try to use them where they're just wore out. At the most, out of your flat file and your round file, to be productive and not work yourself to death, you're gonna get about, roughly at the most, 10 good sharpenings, and then you need good files. All the items I showed you here today, file handles, files, jigs, are all available here at the shop or in the store. So I hope this has helped some of you to be able to figure out what you're doing on your chains. Thank y'all for joining me.